それでは時間となりましたのでスタートさせていただきます。2025年の ACK トークスではカンファレンス機能の充実や文化芸術を中心としたコミュニティ形成を目指し、9つのトークセッションを実施いたします。現代アートの第一線で活躍する登壇者の皆様と共に、文化の再解釈とサステナビリティ、
Together with leading figures in modern art, we will reflect on the new values for future thought through discussion on themes such as art and everyday life, reinterpreting culture and sustainability, and the relationship between humans and technology. In addition to field of art, we will welcome experts from politics, economics, fashion, architecture, and food. Now, we are pleased to welcome artist Neil Beloufa and curator and critic Minoru Hatanaka for the opening talk. Hatanaka-san, please go ahead. Right. Can you hear me? Good? Okay, hello. How should I start this off? Well, warm welcome from ACK. And nice to meeting you all. My name is Hatanaka.
ACK
and
コラボレーション京都のですね、
and
プレビューで
this is the preview day for ACK.
関係者の方が
So I assume we have a lot of the stakeholders today, or I guess that's all of it. I mean, we don't have customers here, but
のトーク
this is going to be the opening talk session. So today we have Neil Beloufa here with us.
テクノロジーが開く芸術の可能性と
We
いう
are going to talk about the possibilities of art unlocked by technology.
まあニール・ベルファさん、よろしくお願い
So
します。
again, Neil, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
はい、ニールさんですけれど、
So let me just quickly introduce you a little bit about Neil. He is an artist actively working on his pieces. And because we have this theme, possibility of art unlocked by technology, so I can assure you that he is making a lot of art related to and also utilizing technology.
けども
So in addition to, of course, creating those technological art,
テクノロジーを主体的に使った作品というよりは、
rather than the pieces themselves, he is also working on how to utilize those technology as a medium and how should I say, utilize those to as a support of your art. So it's a different perspective of approach.
ですね。
So we would like to discuss about those different approaches on how to use those technology as a medium. So first things I wanted to talk was, Neil, can you give us a short introduction of yourself? And as we do so, Neil is, we had some meetings before, and we discussed about media and technology art. So I heard you are not categorizing yourself as a technological artist, right? Right?
So thanks. Hello. Thank you for
な
having
の
me.
で
So sorry to cut you off. So just wanted to confirm, but I wanted to see how, Neil, you are related to technology as you create your pieces. So can you quickly give us a brief introduction of your activities so far?
てるんですけど、まあそれを
And again, based on that, we would like to kick off our discussions. Please go ahead.
So my name is Neil. I'm an artist, and at the beginning of my practice, I used simple technology, or I commented on it. I was more interested in it in terms of subject. So I was making sculptural works, but then there was mappings and the story and the line and stuff like that. And that's another project where we programmed the robot to compare sculptures. Wait. Yeah. So it's an exhibition where we programmed robots that compares a mechanism of representation of propaganda and sculptures in the exhibition. But it was more about how search engine, how social network works, and try to make the exhibition works like that. more than the technology itself.
يعني وزعت
so it was comparing every sculptures, every museum, everywhere. So stuff like that. Or wall works that have an AI character online. So it's
Don't you just hate it when people speak of the
they have a
real world?
personality and they have
What
a
does
life
that
online
mean?
on the side of the life in the
Most people have
space.
never even met the living
So it's
versions of
conversation.
these animals.
But all my interest was like, this is a piece where we were tracking soldiers in the world through social networks and speaking to them and making workstation to speak to them and then classifying the type of data they were providing and stuff like that. I'm not going to show the interviews, but it was mostly, and we created a social network, but it was mostly a comment on technology. And when lockdown happened, we created a game online with a TV show and artists creating avatars and mini games, like an online casino with videos and stuff, where you could download artworks at home. And it changed a bit my relation to it, because we got 80,000 people playing. And so it was a bigger audience and a different relation to an audience, because everyone was on a computer. So it was this app and this and bad games and jokes. And what happened is, after the world reopened and we tried to transfer that typology of relation to the user or the active visitor, active person in an exhibition, inside the exhibition. So we started to create systems that connect, so to adapt that work, that like how the subway works. Like you have QR codes and tickets, and you connect everything, and then we can personalize your relation to the work and play with the audience more. So this is an interactive robot that speaks to people, blah, 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 blah. But what it did is that people stayed longer in the exhibition or came back. Because also the more they were watching, the more they were gaining points and gaining the artwork. So it created a relation where I could exchange social capital with the audience rather than just impose. And I'm gonna, maybe I'm too long a bit. No,
You're okay.
Quickly, so we created a studio with artists, researchers, and technologists to create technical infrastructure to see how we can master and use and what is happening now. So I show you quickly what we built, and I'm done. And he doesn't want to play. No, wait. Sorry. And I'm unfortunately super messy. So we created a web app, an infrastructure where we, like a ticketing system that takes the data from audience. Normally I should accelerate, but I can't, I don't have a button. But it takes pictures, your voice, personality things. Once we have that from a person, we create models with those data, and then we work with the European Union to create models and kind of games with artists and filmmakers, but non-technologist one. So we can enter the visitor within the work of an artist or something like that. So it's not to replace art, but it's to create a personalized relation. So it's me testing, those are stupid tests. But like after that, it's going to show with painters what it does. But so it created a segment of culture that can be distributed more largely in a weird way. So this one is a book with Jill Muledi. So it makes your story with her painting. So it's not to replace the artworks, but to create a connivance, maybe. And there is one with a filmmaker named Alain Guéraudy, where it was like structured like a video game. So he created a script. We casted characters online, and you enter his script and meet his characters. and you have a storybook, like yeah. So that's what we built, and the way I'm going to show you just 3 images, and I'm going to stop bothering everyone. Okay, so it does a mini books with your phone, but the way, so several projects, and we have, so we adapt that in the physical world. So we connect it to terminals. How do we play it? Okay. So, so then we add terminals within the space. So it's not an online relation. And we can start talking because like now, so now it counts the number of likes on a work. It controls the lights of the space. And people choose stuff they like. So it's like providing data by choosing what interests them. And then there was a room with a generation board. And you enter you show your movie to others. So it's creating a structure where, yeah, you integrate the system. And this, well, yeah, this is in Luma. So so the visitor presents its own movie, and it's with different artists and filmmakers. And you can enter a live model of it with the storyline. It's connected to the book we were talking about. Yeah, and then we have a program for kids, but I think we can start talking.
All right, thank you, Neil. So, yeah, these are like media art, like full-on media art. And of course, you are using a lot of technology and so what Neil was saying was, he said it's his artwork, but I think the protagonist is more the users or the visitors who are using the applications. And then those are the ones who are going to determine how the art is going to look like. I mean, you know, like the visitors can change the lighting, they can change the conditions. And so the users truly have this freedom to make a choice and give the final touch to the program. I think we can call it an open artwork. And so normally the visitors are the users, and they can use the artwork and then they can create output, and you can call that the final art piece. So how should I explain this? So it's very vague whether this art piece is Neil's system or Neil's art piece or the visitor's art piece. So it's which part do you think is the final art? What's the outcome?
Because also we work, it's not me, it's a big filmmaker data set that writes the script. It's a painter. So we never know who is signing. I think there is part of the authorship that comes of the structure or relation to the audience in between that thing. And it's a derivative from art more than it is the art itself. But yeah, it's I don't know who is the author. No, I think the artist remains the artist. But this is not a competition with the work. It's something else. It's like, I think it's closer towards TikTok with music. Like people sing really badly and they dance. And it's part of the system, and that's why they enjoy the music.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So in that sense, the users can generate the content, but that is only like a derivative of your infrastructure. So you, Neil, and your team has created the infrastructure, and then the visitors can be part of that system. And again, you can say, in a large sense, they are part of the entire piece.
And what is it? The usage of it is interesting in complement of structure. They are part of it. But for instance, we worked with Gérard Garouste, who is a 82 years old painter. With him, what was interesting is that he supports a non-profit. Where is it? He supports a non-profit, and he cannot paint enough paintings to raise the economy of it. So we did a print system. So collectors were buying editions, but of their portraits. So it worked also as that kind of things. But yeah.
Right. So I looked at some of your past work, and I thought that what's interesting is the exhibit. Yeah, that one, please go back. Yeah. In the exhibit, the users can change the environment. And are you using AI here? No? Yeah?
Right.
So you have the users, you have AI that are critically restructuring, recreating the entire environment of this exhibit. So I think it inherently has this element of this AI and the user element in the final art piece. So these art pieces, it is, if you look at the history of media art, technology art, then, like I said, there are open art pieces where people can participate. The artist, of course, will make the production, and then after it's done, it's not the end of the story. From there, it takes the second life, and it can keep on evolving by the interaction of the third parties, by other people. So I believe that there is a long history where technological art should be open art, and then that's how new methodologies were created, and happens to be the current day. So I think these art pieces, it doesn't finish with Neil, your own thoughts only. I think I think you showed us some sculptures in the beginning, and I think you can say it's a long history of your own art. You have always had this open art philosophy in your systems, including the sculptures. You can change the lighting, right? So you have always been creating these systems where it's going to keep on changing and evolving.
No, totally. What I think is that I'm interested in culture because I think it participates society. So, but when it's so the trick to have more a feeling that you participate is to give access, or mechanical access, or technical access, or ownership. Like I consume art because I work for art. So I'm part of the system. So the idea is for me to make people part of the system, and also I really loved in some projects where when people print, they get the social capital of the exhibition, and it creates a value chain, an economic chain that is redistributive in a way that is interesting to me. That you, instead of centralizing one super powerful object, you cut it, personalize, integrate the audience, and spread it to everyone. Like that's a funny relation.
Right. So yeah, you mentioned about creating an app where people can join, and then the users can create their own art derivative. So now you have the output, and then you can show that to your friends in the physical world, saying, hey, I went there and then I made this. And then your friends can criticize that and say, that's good, that's bad. So right now, I think, Neil, did you say fans or your customers, users? I think you have this community around you, right? You have this good community. I think that's a really interesting thing as well. Participatory people.
Yeah, no, and now we stopped, but before the works had their own social networks or Discord channels, and people were speaking from internet in the exhibition and from the exhibition to internet. So this is, but then it became dangerous. Because you need, yeah, but no, it's it's interesting to find ways of because I think it's today's the way younger generation consume culture only goes through dopamine and the fast algorithms that gives things directly to their brain, adapted to them, and also gives a feeling of appropriating things when it's not the case. So rather than trying to impose my vocabulary, the idea was to be able to have the same vocabulary, or to have a filmmaker having the same velocities on TikTok to whisper to the ear of someone. Yeah.
Right. If I look at TikTok and Instagram or other social network, those are like, you know, not they are the unofficial channels. They tend to be there are no rules there. So I think you should be able to create a community within this authorized system where you can have a proper usage, and that's going to be great. So, so what I thought when I was listening to your story was, you said you're not going to go into more details, but you do educational topics as well, right? Can you touch on the educational side as well? So, in terms of education, do you think there's a big potential or possibilities?
So because to do the infrastructure, so it's not signed by me, my name as an artist, so it's a company. So we take the vocabulary of a company, so we have finance of a company also. So yeah, I don't know how it is here, but the same project, when you say you're a company, have more zero in France than when you say you're a non-profit or an artist. So because of that, we started to make products to produce those interactions, and we have partnerships with vocational high schools where we give them all the techniques, and but I'm going to show you how it works, and we create entertainment parks with them, and we invite artists to drive and to work with them, and so it's the same system exactly, and they build, they design, and we use AI also. So we created super fast pipelines where they draw, they make it in clay, it makes a 3D asset, a character. Then what it does is that we created a tool to that recognizes every motion sensors. Then with that, they have it at school, they put it on a table or a chair, and it becomes a remote to control the asset. And everything, and we have a chatbot that corrects the systems they build. So it's like they accelerate, and it does. It's so they build. I don't know. I'm bad at documentation, but they build entertainment parks, super technological, and we try to. That's why I say it's an infrastructure. We try to make it at super low cost. So that we can provide packs. So it's super. Because we standardize a bit the process. Yeah.
Right. So, regarding that story, you have to differentiate with a regular entertainment, right?
What is different is that there are artists around. It's made in art studios with artists within museums. So at the end of the day, it looks like art. And it's critical because it's kids that don't have access. But the fact that we formulate it as free entertainment makes like a crazy audience to come, because now you start to position critical contemporary art in competition to a trampoline park or a gaming area. And it's so it's a bit virtuous, and then I mean the system is a bit tricky. It's but and the kids learn how to use AI agents, how to do the communication. They did all the logos, they invent everything, and so we don't teach, but we give the tools, and we don't make them too open-ended, so it goes faster, and we have a result faster. And yeah, but so it's not. It differentiates because of the context, because of the people they speak to.
Right. On the other hand, so you made your art in that way, and you have to reinterpret how you created your art. I think that's where you can learn from your own derivatives. So whether those derivatives are going to be a final art, or do you have to add one more, maybe to become an artist, maybe you have to have this kind of an initiation, maybe you have to have sort of education, but whatever that's created in this community, so there's this, the software and the algorithm is going to help you make this final product, right? And are they going to be a final product, or do you have to add another touch to be an artist? What do you think?
I don't know. It's funny because I think it's becoming hard for me to be functioning as an artist now. Hard in the way that I don't really know how. I think it's about decision and who wants to own and distribute. But now it's a bit. I think there is a polarization, a cultural polarization. I think that is happening in society, and there is. I think there is going to be like a conservatory, like for music, where we play. Like for music, when technology happened, people were playing in small rooms, and then tools made a shorter format of music that was distributed to more people, and more people started to do music. I think I think that's a bit what happens, at least to me, is that before I was making one thing where I was playing the gamme of the 20th century. I was replaying the history of the avant-garde or something like that. And this goes, when it's polarized, it gets toward a small group of people. And this branch, more and more, pushed towards something that merge with another history that is not the avant-garde one and the centralized artist figure, super romantic, but more towards something that decentralizes a bit in a more pop way. I don't know.
So yeah,
right. So the intent of my question was, say, for example, there's NFT art, right? That was a boom for a while. NFT, and the NFT art is you have your image, and then some people will assign some huge money to that. So now that boom is going away little by little, but based on that history, that was my question. And so as an overall concept, I think as an educational system, you created something that's very useful. What I mean is the system of art, like you said, you have this history of avant-garde, and then
art history.
You will be able to learn about that art history, and also you can learn about art market. So it's a great infrastructure, great tool to learn about those things, right?
To reply on the NFTs, You want? No, because it was like what was interesting is that the mechanics of that ecosystem. So some stuff were evolution technically of way of distribution, the possibility of decentralizing a value. But their mechanics that destroyed it is that they reproduced and they polarized. They reproduced what we do here in a more violent way, meaning all the value was in the person that had the most followers, because there was no intermediary structure. So there was no institution, no intellectual class, no curator, no one to decentralize. The idea was like it would be fully decentralized, but it disintermediarized like tech does, so direct to audience. And so the more clicks you had, the more value you had. So it created a machine with 5 people, 5 artists, and 20,000 at once, which is the curve of social networks. Like you have more than the curves of here, where a curator can say, this person that is shy and don't have social capital and don't talk to everyone is interesting. So that's how they made a I think. And and with the kids program, it's funny because it's what is funny is that it's an exchange for me, because my frustration is that my personal frustration is that I don't. My professional constraint within even an institution is never the audience. The way it's formulated is that the audience is a problem, or it's like I have to do what I want, or we have to do what we want because we know, and the audience is not taken. And with the kid, I delegated that question through education or hiding it, so they decide what they want, and it brings the audience. So I'm like just doing architecture, yeah.
Right. That makes sense. So it's not an education with like one goal in mind, but the users themselves have their own critical thinking, and then they can decide what has value or not. I think that process itself is also part of the artwork. And you said with NFT, there can be this massive spike in price because of like one metric. Then it's that the decision of the value should be thought by the users. So making people think about who is going to determine the value is what I felt was important. So that's the difference with NFT art.
Yeah, no. You cannot fix society through code. Like people are necessary to create structure also. I don't know if it makes sense with what you said.
Right. So, Neil, did you have any new discoveries? Did you find something interesting? Thinking like, oh, they came up with this kind of assessment method or this value system, or were there any surprises, unexpected things, outcomes, or this agreement with the users, the children?
We tested different systems. So I can talk about an experiment we did, but it wasn't with the kids, but it was with 3 artists. And one was super famous and was making images that people wanted. And one wasn't famous, but was making crazy machinery. And so we made stuff where we connected the 2 artists. And in order to get the one that was famous, you had to interact with the first one. Because the first one was making volume, it allowed the one that was making flatter stuff to do entertainment in a way, to have audience, like people looking. And so we made a competition and we asked people to distribute the work. So in order to get it, they had to share it. To share the unfamous artist to get the famous one. So it created a loop where they both exchange economy and social capital at the same time, regulated by the audience. So that's, I don't know if it's clear what I say, but it's super funny because you can now, the way a gallery works, if we look at a program of a gallery, you have artists that represent social capital or symbolic capital. So they speak to intellectual class, artists that are more about the capital itself, artists that more about like many kind of artists, and the gallery is the place where all that is split between the artists in a way, and that you can now automate and fix the relation. Like you, I don't know if it, but that's, I don't know if it makes sense.
でもあれですか、その
Right. So
アーティストではなくて
Neil, you said you are not a media artist. You are more of a general artist, and
そういうシステムを作る、そう設
I
計する
think
人って
you are more like an architect of the system, right? That's another form of artist, but
自分の世界観みたいなものをパッとこう作って何か
you can create your own worldview. You can create your own ecosystem.
というよりはもうそうい
But
う
rather than creating your worldview, you are creating more of the system, the infrastructure. I think you are shifting your interest a little more towards creating the infrastructure.
I don't believe in the war of image anymore in a way. I think I don't believe in a commercial. If someone says the shampoo is good, I'm like, this is a lie. But I think I have the same, the make-believe of my field. I believe in arts, but the make-believe of the image inside, I think have less impact on me. And I think I look more at the model of production or the system. And I think that my interest goes there, but I think it's more, it's not just me, it's like globally, people criticize the way something happens. And because we have also problematic of governance or, I don't know, here in politics, but like you. And so what is interesting is that I believe part of the job, if part of my job as an artist would be to work on that iceberg under, but I think I look more at that more and more. I look at who is the artist, how it's made, why it's made, not only at the front. And and also especially with the tools today, the war of the image is going to become crazy.
はい。まあなんていうんですかね。じゃあ
Right. So the theme was the possibilities of arts unlocked by technology.
可能性というテーマなので、まあちょっとそちらにこう寄せていこうと
I wanted to talk a little bit about the possibilities.
言われるのが、例えば
So I hear a lot that because pictures were invented, artists or painters had to change in their role, right? A lot of people say that. So
やるっていうことに長けているので、
because the cameras are very good at taking the pictures at 100% accuracy. So that's why the artists did not have to do that anymore. They had to change their roles. And of course, there are like a super realistic people who can draw like a picture. But I could say because of the invention of cameras, artists were able to expand their world as well. You can leave the super realistic ones to pictures or cameras, and then I can work on something different. You were able to expand more, and I was able to make more of different expressions. So that's one way to think about camera's invention. But similarly, we have AI that came out.
タイプの
And
絵が
say there is this a type of a picture, and you can prompt it to create some sort of a picture, right? You can make a drawing with AI, and they can wing it. They can make it good. So I think the artist's role is shifting yet again. Or do you think so, or do you not think so? And
スタンスの
and or maybe Neil, is that why because of AI, do you think your stance towards art is changing?
I don't. Art is a place that shouldn't exist and exists since the beginning. Like so there will be always that position, and the destruction of the idea of having a craft, knowing how to do something, is like the history of avant-garde. I think what is happening is that this history, this single line dominating a museum, is going to a bit lose power towards more 19th century kind of practice that are more practiced in the world and that will value different aspects of the thing. And also, what is interesting to me, it's more interesting with LLMs and text. Like, I write really badly, but now the company can ask for European Union as if we were an institution. So this velocity, this capacity makes the value you have now is not the craft or the vocabulary you know. Like I didn't know the vocabulary of banks, and I can learn, I can use it now, so I can have the same fundings. So this capacity, same for art or stuff like that, will make the only value or the reason to be an artist is wanting to be one and having something to do with it. But like more like the engagement of it, and the output has no value. The result, like everyone can do an image, but already in contemporary art, every visitors come and say, I can do that. So this is already known as a phenomenon. Like now it's going to be times 10, but the reason of it to exist is going to be the engagement of the person, which is super weird because it's going to be clear that for anything, even making a feature film like Star Wars, is going to be the engagement of the person that is. So I don't know what, but I think, yeah, some people will be engaged and some won't, because not everyone wants to do.
そうですね。いやなんか
Right, right.
今の話
So
プロジェクト
during COVID, you had a project,
が明けてから
and after COVID, you said you can show that to your physical, real friends, and then criticize each other's pieces. I thought that was a really good initiative.
コロナの時代
And during COVID, during lockdown, we were wondering how we can transform the museums into virtual things, and also how we can create a backup so that we can have this digital archive. We've been thinking about how to preserve museums, but I think nobody is thinking about that anymore. I mean, not nobody, but so once you don't think about that anymore,
何だったんだ
then you look back in time and think, why was I even thinking about trying to preserve museums? But back then, during lockdown, what we were doing was,
今新しい可能性とし
so
てね
now after COVID,
可能性を持ったものとしてあると思うんですよね今
I think it left us a possibility, a new possibility to evolve. But
こういう
that work in itself, preserving art, museums, was now nobody is working on that anymore. People are saying we don't have to think about preserving art anymore. So that concept itself, I think, is really important now.
聞いてたんですけど
What is because it's true that people don't do experiments like that anymore, but community or the people that consume culture, like what we do now, what is funny for that question is that, so we have I think we are not far from 100,000 people that are logged in. So whatever happens, whether it is a political moment or it is a movement to another country, or you have to go online or in a bar or somewhere else, you can activate your audience and create social relation around culture. And that's the strategy that, and I think leaving that space of users or data or relation to third party is super dangerous because they don't want to maintain those collective infrastructures. They want to, and it might lead to hyper centralization of institution too, with fewer audience. And I don't know, because people have the desire to meet each other, but when there is a mini fluctuation, whether it is economy, budget, not something as strong as COVID or change of regime, like some country, like some museums, some institutions, some art, like are super threatened because there is no underground structure, which was, I mean, yeah, I don't know if you...
そうですね。
Right.
まあ
So,
そのコロナの時に、まあ、
so again, during COVID, during lockdown,
その時期にこそいろんな実践があったんですよ
I
ね。
think there were a lot of actual practices trying to preserve. And then I'm thinking now people are thinking back at that time. We are all thinking, hey, back then during lockdown, we did this and that. And then I am thinking we should do more of that.
違うことやってたんです
Because
よね。
at different museums, they all had different ways to save their museums.
深刻な状態になった時に、
When you have this fluctuation in the society, like COVID, they were all thinking of how they can continue doing their business. And there is no one format. Of course, there were some technologies that were used in many ways. But I would say it was all of the different institutes had their own thinkings. And it was interesting to watch them and observe them. Oh, that museum is doing this and that. That other organization is doing this. So it was really interesting to look at them.
あって、
So
もう一度なんか
I hope that
もういいんじゃないかな。
we can do that again. Because now, when I talk to my colleagues,
美術館っていうのは本物が見れるから価値がある。
they say the museums have value because you can see the actual piece. And then even if you create a digital twin, if you open up the museum, if you can visit there, then there's no meaning for digital twins. You should go to the museum to see the actual thing. So I think that's such a waste. I think it's important to think about how to preserve the museum. Because right now people are thinking once you open the museum, you don't have to worry about the backup plans anymore. I don't think so. Now, because it's after lockdown, I think we learned something from those activities. We should be able to use them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really important to have not a backup plan, but a way to distribute or to move or to... And there's something I didn't show, but we produced, it's called flim.ai, and it's a platform with only screenshots of movies. Like archives, but it's made, and it's interesting because the platform functions with there is 300,000 people that pay subscription, and they're not movie watcher. It's people that do movie or people that do mood board or people that do. So it's a different relation with a different audience, but it generates a possibility of income and a possibility of distribution out of the archive of the play of cinema. So I mean, it's those stuff also add a different audience, open it to different people, and I think it's interesting too. But fluctuations are going to come, and there is always fluctuations.
Right. So, Neil, you are also creating art pieces that are almost like a curation system. And then the exhibit themselves, unlike the curator being like the top-down curating everything, maybe a good exhibition is where the curator functions well, but I'm thinking where we can bring in more of the visitors, and then they can reinterpret, restructure the system. And Neil, you're really good at making those systems. So that's probably because, well, an exhibit is where there is a curator, and then he has one theme or like a vision, and then that's how you create one big exhibit. So I would like to say, depending on the different point of view, perspective, you can see like a different aspect of the art piece. You can learn something new by changing your point of view, right? So of course, maybe I'm not sure if it's going to change the context of the art piece, but I think it has a possibility of
ものをこう
of giving this freedom to arrange or change the outcome of the exhibit. So I am not like talking down about the curator. I'm not saying we don't need a curator,
けども
but
複雑な気持ちでもあるんですけど
I think there's a balance there. So maybe we can create sort of a meta exhibit, and maybe we can think about rethink about how an exhibit should be. So that's really expressed in Neil's products.
なので彼自身の作品
So when you think about what is the characteristic of Neil's items, you know, you started out as a sculptor. There were many sculptures, and those are something that's 100% your things. But in the recent years, I think you are creating the base infrastructure to onboard more people, and you're creating a system where people can participate, right? Rather than just making a sculpture all by yourself 100%. So I think you are giving us like a chance to rethink about how an infrastructure should be.
あの
So
メディアアーティストじゃないと
again, Neil, you're saying you are not a media artist yourself, but I think you are providing us with this media artist type of thinking. You're giving us how to think of how to think like a media artist.
観客の見方によってどんどん
And again,
捉えられ方をして違ったそのコンテクストの接続
the visitors can view it from their own free perspectives, and then they can look at different context of the pieces,
していないもの
which means your art in itself that's being exhibited is not fully complete. It's only completed once the people give it a new perspective. So I think that is a part of the media art history.
ご自身はその
And
メディアアーティストとかテクノロジー
so, Neil, again, you say you are not a media artist, technology artist. Can I ask you why you deny that?
I'm not an artist often, so it's fine. Like it.
あそっか
That's right. You are not even an artist.
No, no. No, but I agree with what you say about.
アーティストとも
Right. So you don't even call yourself an artist. Okay, that's interesting. But of course, you started out as a sculptor, right?
I'm,
そっか
no, no, but
でも今はじゃあその
So now you are you wouldn't like take it down, but you are currently not an artist anymore. Then
don't like. I'm kidding. I don't know what. It's, like, it's before it was like, are you a painter? Are you? What do you do? And I was doing. That is art. That is art. And now, so like, now I have all the question out. It's like I don't know.
うん
okay, that's interesting. So maybe that way of thinking itself, you know,
テクノロジーを使ったアートの解釈として
as an interpretation of media and technology art, of course, you have to create a piece using technology, but that's one aspect. But
何が変わるのかっていうねその
I would like to think, what is changing in our daily life through media and technology? How is it giving us an impact in the way we create our art pieces? I think it's a good way to think about the influence of media and technology. When I'm trying not to think of media art as a genre of art, rather than thinking of it as a genre, it's more like a perspective of how you look at things. So
あの
even if the art piece is not using technology, maybe it can be called as media art as well. So if you think of media art as a genre, as a category, then
アーシブで
then maybe you have to has it like interactive and immersive. Then of course that's fine as a definition. That's fine to have an immersive interactive art. But
と区別できるのかなってずっ
but
と
I was wondering how you can differentiate with other art. So rather than saying that as a big genre, big category, I think it's more of a perspective of how you look at the art piece.
はい。
But I think categorization is dangerous in general. But that's why I think also for the artists themselves, when they define themselves with a genre, they're dead. They cannot escape. But I did some teachings in schools, and I think she.
大丈夫ですかね? Go ahead.
We have to. Okay.
いや、もうちょっとあります。
Oh, we still have time. No, we don't have time anymore. Oh, 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
No, my students in a normal art school, and we were. I did a history of technology from EAT to post-internet, post-colonial internet, and on the side I did Godard, Adam Curtis, the media from a distance, and they called all my generation vintage. They say it's old, and I was like, or people doing glitchy 3D, they say it's old, and I was like, what the? And then I showed a figurative painting, and they said, no, that's art. And I was like, how is it possible? And they were interested in the systems and in the politics and the stuff, but they took a distance for it but there was two things. There was one thing where they were attracted by what institution goes to in a conservative moment, so that part made it more legit as a definition of what art should be these days. So art should be these days more classical because of economy or something. And the other thing where they were right is that if you frame it, it's dated. It's already dated, the same way pop art had a time span super short, because we will never see technology anymore. Meaning like it's going to be invisible more and more. And the tools we have now are like there is a step. There won't be a glitchy stuff not made on purpose. If I want to make a perfect thing now, I can do it. So, or a bad video game, like a video game that. So they considered, which it's interesting because like I think also there is anachronism in the way kids consume culture. Like they discover Nirvana on TikTok and they think it's new. But the same way is that now if you go to that thing, they analyze it and they think it's already vintage because it's framed structurally as that. And technically, we don't need to frame it anymore, I think. But I don't know if it makes sense, but...
まあむしろそのヴィンテージであることが
Okay,
表現
so being vintage can be part of an expression as well. You can choose that as a freedom. I think that's very contemporary. So if you categorize that as media art, then the vintage pieces, you know, they are old, and people will say, oh, you're still doing that technology, and that's only going to limit you. But that's not the case. But being vintage itself is another way of expression. If you can say so, then
であるべきだ。
that should be what the media art, the definition of media art would be. So it shouldn't be this comparison or race of technology. You shouldn't always have to have the latest technology. That itself, that definition, you know, of course, some people will say media art is like cutting edge technology. Sure, but if you come to these kind of art fairs, then being vintage itself, it can be an expression. It's not old. You are intentionally choosing that quality. You're choosing that technology. So you can say it that way, right?
Yeah, totally. But they didn't consider this art fair vintage. They considered me vintage. So I was like,
いや僕もそうは言ってないです。
No, I'm not saying you're not saying this event is vintage. No. But so what I wanted to say was, in this modern art world, technology is seeping into people's expressions. So the media art expressions, whether no, regardless of which genre the art piece is belonging to, we think media art should be just a perspective rather than a category.
I think everything is. I think everything is media art or social art because it.
Yes, of course. Yes, exactly. You can see it that way too. Everything can be media art. Everything can be contemporary art. So that is why this the assigning a meaning to things, assigning a definition, and creating a value shouldn't be clearly defined. I think we have this. We should have a more vague definition of them that is going to free us up. That's going to have less limits to us. Are we out of time? Okay. So can we take Q&A, or do we not have time anymore? Okay. So if you have any more questions to Neil or me, then please come to us after the event. And once again, Neil, thank you very much for coming here. This was Neil Beloufa. Really interesting.
Hatanaka Minoru さん、Neil Beloufa さん、ありがとう。
So again, that was Minoru Hatanaka and Neil Beloufa. Thank you very much. And ACK talks will continue tomorrow and in the days ahead with sessions of a variety of themes. So this talk will also be available online and in an archive as well. So please continue to enjoy ACK talks. Thank you.
No, there is a QR code if someone wants. It's a project by a painter. And, yeah.